So you missed the news this week. Well, we've got you covered. Welcome to Week in One, your quick fix of the week's news. I'm Shirdika Pillai. Let's get into this week's top stories. 11 people shot and killed in separate incidents in KwaZulu-Natal. The DA's Tanya Campbell is re-elected as Ekurhuleni mayor following her ousting several weeks ago. Ekurhuleni serial rapist Nkosinathi Phakathi and 5 suspects linked to the Nomzamo Tavern shooting are back in court. KwaZulu-Natal communities are on edge following 2 separate shootings in the province. Families of the victims want justice. eNCA's Ngobile Madlala has more.
The Reelected community in KwaZulu-Natal is on edge. Members are still coming to terms with the deadly shooting outside a tuck shop over the weekend. The families of those gunned down are demanding that officials act to find the perpetrators.
Hey, really, it's very bad. We are so confused even now because we don't know what has happened. Tobisi was here for the whole day. He went just for 2 minutes to go to the shop to buy the voucher.
Umfana kushuthi beseza uzinhlanhla njengomfana obenazi iziqo obeyigqokile. Ukuba eMelika bebemthembisile ukuthi ngoJanuary masingana zo15 ubezoba yoqala umsebenzi weziqo zakhe beyifundele.
I was speaking to the MEC Hlomoga this morning of community safety and telling him about this incident, and he has promised us that this is going to get the high attention that it deserves.
Police say the search is on to find the shooters. Meanwhile, another shooting in Clement brought the weekend's death toll to 11.
In both incidents, the provincial commissioner has tasked the organized crime unit to take over these investigations, take into consideration the way the people were killed.
The Reelected municipality says it will help families with funeral arrangements and counseling. Durban.
Tanya Campbell has promised to prioritize service delivery in Ekurhuleni. The metro hasn't had proper services for nearly a month. This week, Campbell was re-elected as mayor after a support vote from the EFF. eNCA's Pulele Chwiti-Jones has the inside track.
The city of Ekurhuleni's new mayor is a familiar face. Tanya Campbell is back in the role she was forced to vacate 2 weeks ago. The ANC and EFF have been workshopping solutions that would help them retain power in the metro. But this proved fruitless in the end. The ANC couldn't break the impasse with the Red Berets.
We negotiated with about 7 parties that were with us. They were still firm. They voted with us today. We negotiated with other parties which we would have thought will actually assist us to take over. But we could not find each other. So we respected their views, and then that's it. So you can't say we didn't have a plan. There was a plan to take over government.
Campbell's removal saw Ekurhuleni without a leader, causing a spiral in service delivery. One of the biggest casualties has been waste collection.
We had a plan, we still have a plan, and that is to serve the residents of Ekurhuleni. It is a pity that 2.5 weeks has been wasted, where emergency plans have to be put in place for service delivery. However, we will be hitting the ground running.
She also did not rule out the possibility of working with other parties, including the EFF.
I have always had a good relationship with other parties within council. It has never come to the point where it was a position situation. I did not ask for the support. And I do thank them, however, for that support.
Pulele Chwiti-Jones, Ekurhuleni.
He's been dubbed the Ekurhuleni serial rapist. Nkosinathi Phakathi has been found guilty of nearly 150 counts of rape, kidnapping, and compelling children to perform sexual acts. His lawyer now wants him to undergo a psychiatric assessment before sentencing next month. eNCA reporter Moloko Moloto was in court.
The North Gauteng High Court, sitting at the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court, found Nkosinathi Phakathi guilty on 148 counts after the state withdrew what it calls 55 minor counts for which evidence didn't exist. Phakathi was found guilty on 90 counts of rape, 4 of compelling children to have sex with each other, 3 of causing children to witness him as he raped some of his victims, 43 of kidnapping, 2 of sexual assault, 2 of common assault, and 4 of theft.
He unlawfully and intentionally compelled a 14-year-old boy without his consent to commit an act of sexual penetration with the complainant in count 91, a 14-year-old girl, by instructing him to have sexual intercourse with her without her consent.
His lawyer requested that a clinical assessment be conducted on Phakathi, a request the state did not oppose.
The court finds that it is in the interest of justice that this matter be postponed to enable Mr. Khokani on your behalf to obtain the expert report that will assist this court in determining an appropriate sentence under the circumstances.
The state says it relied on DNA tests and diligent investigations to nab Phakathi. What did you rely on in the main for you to crack this?
Through the hard work of the investigating officers, as the state, we had a very strong case against the accused because this matter had about 98 dockets which were investigated. So the accused was ultimately linked to the offenses through DNA and some to his modus operandi report.
The clinical psychologist's report into Phakathi's mental state is expected to be tabled in court when it reconvenes on the 8th and the 9th of December. Muluku Muloto, Ekurhuleni.
The Nomzamo Tavern shooting death toll has climbed to 17. In July, 16 people were shot and killed in an incident that the National Prosecuting Authority believes is connected to cable theft and illegal mining. The 5 suspects linked to the shooting have appeared in the Orlando Magistrate Court in Soweto. eNCA's Lindelo Masikane has been following the story.
It was a brief appearance for these 5 men in the Orlando Magistrates Court. 2 are South African and 3 are from Lesotho. According to police, more arrests are imminent. The NPA believes the tavern shooting is linked to cable theft and illegal mining. The families of the victims filled the courtroom. Lawyers representing the suspects told the magistrate that their lives are at risk.
The issue of outside people who were hurling some remarks on us, threatening us as attorneys. Even on last time when we left the court, it was there even this morning. We are just simply attorneys assisting. We are for lack of a better word, a hired gun. So the community must not threaten us. We are just here to say that justice has been done.
The community is demanding that the accused remain behind bars.
One of the victims has succumbed to his injuries, and he was in the rural KZN. So he'll be sadly buried in the, at the weekend. So obviously the family has made us aware and confirmed that the 17th person has passed on. So we're hoping that at the end of the day, in the next court appearance, the bail will be denied.
The matter will be back in court on the 5th of December for a formal bail application. Lindelo Masikane, Soweto.
Coming up after the break, Thulasizwe Simelane sits down with Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe. Welcome back to Week in One. I'm Shirdika Pillai. On the back of 2 deadly mass shootings in KZN, our show's honed in on the state of community safety in affected areas. eNCA anchor Rofiwa Madzena grilled Provincial Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi on the search for the gunman and the level of safety and security in rural areas.
We have been speaking to community members throughout the days after the incident, and they have lamented that there is a lack of visible policing or even active police stations in which they can seek assistance whenever they need to. Your thoughts on the level of protection in terms of police protection in these communities, and do you think that more could be done?
Of course, ma'am, there's a lot that we could do as a South African Police Service, given the resources that is so much desperately needed in policing, which are currently a challenge. But we are doing our level best to make sure that we can cover as much as we can in all the policing areas that we have. The first incident that happened at Wadavega in Claremont area, it's an informal settlement. Even if we have police that are patrolling in the vicinity, but to get into the area where the incident happens, informal settlement, we always talk about this all the time, that until environmental design is looked after, it makes it difficult for police to access such places. The Ndwedwe incident is in the rural area. We know the challenges we face with the rural areas, that it's vast areas that are far from each other. The houses are far from each other, they're not clustered together. So even if we deploy resources to patrol, they're not able to cover the area easy. That's why we rely on working very close with our communities.
Saying that the geographical locations or the township or the rural area is making it difficult cannot be a sustainable excuse. And I say that because I'm wondering, are you not looking at other forms of patrol? There's drone technology, helicopters, those kinds of initiatives. Is this not something the SAPS is discussing as a means to not just rely on road infrastructure?
Certainly, we have our technology advisory committee in the South African Police Service. We started procuring drones, and we are also employing from the private sector partners that we're working with. We started employing drones in order to help us with policing, so that we can be able to cover areas. But having said that, we cannot necessarily be able to detect some of the incidents that are happening in areas and respond with speed. A typical example, as I'm saying, informal settlement, people sitting inside their house and they get shot at. So you can respond into it, but to prevent it from happening without intelligence, without information, it becomes a bit of a challenge. So we're working very hard in strengthening all our capacity within the law enforcement.
Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe is adamant that the country's power stations have not passed their sell-by date. He insists the problems emanate from how they've been maintained. This emerged during a wide-ranging interview with eNCA's Thulasizwe Simelane.
I don't think I need to tell you about the mood of South Africans around the energy issues, in particular the issue around a specific aspect of energy, electricity insecurity, where now load shedding has become almost the mainstay and the default condition in the country, such that when there's a day when there's no load shedding, we are all alarmed. So just for us to move from the same, basis of understanding, do you accept that this represents a major failure on the part of the government in which you serve?
No, the reality is that if you look into energy as a portfolio, it is managed at 3 points in government. The main energy policies here were responsible for it. But ESCOM is in Department of Public Enterprises. And if you look into the developments, renewables are in the Presidency. So that means management of energy is fragmented. Now, when there's fragmentation in an area that is a victim of being in crisis, you must know that you are going to struggle to manage that crisis, because you must coordinate these 3 points into intervening decisively. Now, if you talk about something called load shedding, it is primarily in ESCOM, and therefore it is in DPE, but we don't wash our hands and say it is not our business. It is our business because people must have security of energy supply, and we have a responsibility over that.
Is it a problem of failing to drive this plant that we all accept that, much of it is way past its sell-by date?
Can I tell you something that will surprise you?
Yeah.
We went to ESCOM, everybody talks of these persons that are gone past the sell-by date. And the reality of the matter is that they are not. You go to Sasol in South Africa, not in another country, you find that they have units that generate energy in Sasolburg that are 10 years older than the oldest power station in ESCOM, and they are very efficient. So the quality of a car and the quality of a power station depends on the care you take for that power station. If you take full care of that power station, you extend the life. That's why, for example, it is possible to extend the life of Koeberg by another 20 years because it has been looked after. It's the only nuclear power station we're having, and it is maintained, and we're giving it 20 more years.
President Cyril Ramaphosa maintains he hasn't violated his oath of office regarding the Phala Phala farm theft matter. He's delivered his submission to the panel looking into the 2020 burglary at his Limpopo farm. eNCA anchor Dan Moyane spoke to political analyst Sandile Swana for some perspective.
The president has complied by all accounts from the presidency statement with the deadline, which was yesterday, but he maintains his innocence, yet we still do not know exactly what happened there because the couple of times he's had the opportunity to respond in parliament during question and answer sessions in the last few months, he's refused to give any details.
Yes, I think that this answer that he has given, even when you read the statement, the written statement that they've published from the presidency, it doesn't give details as to why he believes he has not violated the Constitution, or that he has not violated any other law, or that he has not been involved in any misconduct that would warrant the impeachment. Because those are the three things he's got to answer for. And I did, at some point in the past, ask, for instance, the public protector, the acting public protector, to say, what was the quality of the answers that Cyril Ramaphosa provided to the public protector on Phala Phala? Again, the public protector was saying, no, it's not their job to comment on the quality because that's not their job. The person submits what he submits. So what we know now is that Cyril has submitted something. As to whether it's of any value or what value it is, we cannot know for now.
The implications, Sandile, I know we're speculating, but if the former Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo and his two colleagues in this independent parliamentary panel find or recommend to the National Assembly that the president must be subjected to that process, that inquiry process, similar to the one that, as you've said, the suspended public protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane is going through, what are the implications?
The implications, part of those implications would be exactly what Thabo Mbeki has already pointed out, that the president needs to be asked within the processes of the ANC at least to step aside and be given time to go and attend to that, which would then mean that he cannot participate in the political processes of the African National Congress, which would in all likelihood put paid to any ambitions that he has of attending to a second term as the president of South Africa. Those are some of the implications. The other implication is that if his comrades, the members of parliament, try to band together and try to scupper this thing, then we will be back to the Zuma days. Then the political capital of the ANC will be eroded further. So there is a big probability that the ANC might be compelled to say, President, you are now a liability. At a minimum, step aside until this thing is fully cleared.
Stay tuned to Week in One. We bring you more up next. Welcome back to Week in One. I'm Shirdika Pillai. The Emfuleni municipality says it will challenge Eskom's decision to attach over 1 billion rand of its assets due to non-payment. But while the two parties wrangle over the debt, it's residents who continue to pay the human cost as services grind to a halt. eNCA's Manqoba Mqunu reports.
Kuyanuka baba ebusuku unyakulale uyaspraya before la ngaphulele ngakhona uyaspraya ukuthi kunuke something sihleli njengezingulube la.
This is what some residents in Emfuleni have to put up with: raw sewage pouring from their homes. The situation has become dire for the Mhlambi family, whose entire yard is covered in raw human waste. And this is the source.
Ngine 4 years nginele lento kanje. Akukho nje into enzekalayo. Ayikho. Ngihleli kule dotile. Indlu yami uyayibona ukuthi iyamoseka. Day in and day out. Imosekile.
Making matters worse are pothole-infested roads. In August, the presidential Imbizo visited the area to address some of the challenges, but residents say little has changed.
Look behind me. There's potholes. This drain is more than a year. We reported, the other people reported, they do nothing about that.
Businesses have closed down, or either they closed down or they had to cut down. So you would have 10 people that you employ, but because of the situation, you had to cut down to 5 people. And now recently, we're just dealing with one of our businesses here up the road, where for the past 9 months, they've not had water.
The municipality's problems are far from over. It owes Eskom an astounding 5 billion rand, and the power utility is now coming to collect a touching 1.3 billion rand in assets. The municipality insists, though, it's not to blame for the situation and will challenge the decision.
We have been paying, and we are prepared to continue to cooperate with Eskom. There's an issue of interest that it's still a bone of contention. We are owing just over 500 million in interest, and we are saying to Eskom this is too much. That needs to be revised.
A meeting is scheduled with provincial government on Thursday to map the way forward.
Members of the Public Servants Association embarked on a stay-away on Thursday. The association has rejected the 3% salary increase tabled by the employer and is demanding an increase above the inflation rate. eNCA's Heidi Jokos was with striking members.
Hundreds of Public Service Association members marched to National Treasury. They're demanding a wage increase of 10%, rejecting the 3% government has offered.
We demand a single-term wage agreement, as we know that the employer, every time we sign a multi-term, they don't honor the promise. So we demand 10% across the board because, our members are hit hard by the hike of fuel, prices of food are going up. Inflation is very high. Hence, we demand 10% across the board. 3% is an insult to public servants who are working very hard.
Workers have expressed how difficult times are for them and how they've been promised an increase for the past 3 years.
We started in 2019, 2020, they promised us the third year's increment, which we never received. Now we are asking, we are now from 2020 up to 2021 asking, and it came to 21 now, they give us 3% increase, which is nothing to us, which is not even inflation rate there.
What can we do with 3%? They must not play with us. The worst part, they are giving themselves. Our government, they are giving huge sums of money to themselves. Are they saying we deserve 3% of all the work that we are doing? Please, they must just make their mind. We need 10%.
Government says they do not have anything more to offer but 3% and will respond accordingly to the memorandum. PSA has given government 7 days to respond and act, otherwise there are threats of a total shutdown. Heidi Jokos in Pretoria.
A 32-year-old mother accused of killing her 4 children in Ingobo appeared in court on Thursday. She allegedly attacked her kids while they slept. eNCA's Ronald Masinda has been covering this tragic story.
Nomboleko Simayeli broke down in tears shortly after appearing at the Engobo Magistrates Court. Her father says he has no hatred towards his daughter.
And so the names on the Nagani. Uba ela, kuba elapa, ingani ngakhala ngoba andiyithandi le ndawo akuyo. Ewe yena usetyenziwe into imisebenzi leyo. Kodwa ndasoloko ndimxhasa. Futhi nabazukulwana bam ndiyabathanda. Ndonakele emphefumlweni.
The court also heard that Simayeli had a protection order against her.
Their respective clients and witnesses and investigating officers so that the matter can proceed on the 17th of November 2022.
The Department for Social Development says it will assist the Simayeli family with all the necessary emotional support.
As a department, that is what we have made for. The department is deeply involved in all the kinds of saving our children, our women, our men on issues of gender-based violence and femicide-related issues. We've got programs specifically for that to help our people. We've got programs for boys, we've got programs for youth. Of course, this woman is a young woman. We've got also programs for men to help them.
The next court appearance is expected on the 17th of November. Ronald Masinda, eNCA.
That's a wrap for this Week in One. From myself and the team, have a great weekend.